have Mike Hahn from Transwest. How are we doing today, Mike?
Good, thanks, Bruce. Yourself?
Good, good. So you're a former recruiter, owner, operator, driver. You're now recruiting for Transwest. Tell us what your role is, what you're supposed to be doing for Transwest, because you've got to hire some people.
Well, I've been hired to bring on some team company drivers for the Transwest Toronto location. Our main office is based out of Lachine in Quebec. We are, again, a focused team-based company, running all of our freight to primarily the West Coast. We do have options out of the Montreal terminal to run into Arizona, Washington, Oregon, Utah, and California, and some across Canada. In Toronto, primarily the role I'll be looking to fill is for California runs.
Okay.
Expectation is that the turn should take 5 days or less to make a trip.
That's a pretty quick turn for anybody, right? Especially in produce. So, okay, so let's dive into this. So you guys primarily are hauling fruits and vegetables, produce, food items, whatever it is. You're refrigerated. So if you're turning a California in 5 days, you're doing it by team, right? So do the teams have to come to you as a team, or are you taking on singles and placing them together with compatible people?
We in Toronto are looking for established professional teams. We are going to be looking for 1 year to 2 years of experience, extremely clean CVR and abstract. We have been a TCA award winner the last number of years, and we want to maintain that record. So we are looking for, again, the professional team drivers that have been doing this for a long time. We don't want partners to come into the environment and then find they don't like working in a team, and we don't have the ability to build teams. And we find the most success is from teams that come already established. The type of freight, again, will be reefer freight into California. The reason we can make turns as quickly as we do is because we have dedicated freight that comes out of California. We're not going to be using 3PL freight and having trucks sitting around waiting for produce to come in or items to come in off the fields and be chilled and cooled and that things before they get out. So we can establish our turns very, very quickly.
Yeah. Now you were an owner operator for many years and a driver, and I know you used to run some California. I didn't run California. I did run some Florida with produce. Did you run any produce when you were running out to California previously? Was that part of your?
I used to. I used to take 1 or 2 trips a year. I would run the West Coast California Triangle just to stretch out my legs a bit and pick up some miles. Typically, it was always produce. That's usually what comes out of California. And that's the main freight that comes out of those areas and regions. And that's where our primary customer is coming back in out of California. So it's an interesting type of freight because it's not the same as dry goods where it's always ready at the door. We all know that sometimes sitting at the door can be hours on length, even in dry good freight. But when you have a dedicated customer and freight that's ready to be moved, it's a little bit different than the 3PL freight.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking, because I know my memories of hauling produce were not the best, And I've always said to people, if you're going to go and haul produce, go to somebody who does that all the time. I've worked for carriers who kind of mixed into that. They'd have the odd load of that or something, and it's not the same as somebody who's dedicated, like you say, with carriers that can go on. So you've at least got the experience. You can bring somebody on and give them an idea of what's going to happen. Do you prefer the husband and wife teams? It's pretty hard to find other teams, if they're not together.
Well, I have seen in the past that there are a number of professional teams. And I call them professional teams because they do it for that specific reason. They work as a team and they've been doing it for a long time. Husband and wife teams do work very well as well because they've established that that's what they want to do. And we have a number of husband and wife teams. We've actually got a number of father and daughter and father and son teams that work out very well as well. So we got a very diverse group of drivers that we have in the system. I have seen in the past, husband and wife teams tend to work out the best. So our most successful have been husband and wife teams as well as the father and son and father and daughter teams. One of the interesting things that we do differently, again, is we're primarily service only team freight. So we do that extremely well, and that's all we've ever done. The company has gone through a growth spurt in the last 2 years or a year of almost doubling its drivers from 200 to 400. And now there's a market for us to bring our freight into Toronto. We have constant freight that comes into Toronto, and that's why we're looking to build a driver pool in Toronto.